This episode of the Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast is sponsored by the best-selling book, Halloween Horror Nights Unofficial, The Story and Guide 2017. If you're brave enough to attend Universal Orlando's Halloween Horror Nights, you better believe you'll need a survival guide. Head over to Amazon and pick up your copy now and get the stories behind the scares and never miss a trick.
Covering the Universal Orlando Resort for 6 years, you are listening to the Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 262 of the Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. I am your host Lee and I'm not joined by Tracy and Darren or Hunter this week. They've taken a week off. I am joined by some lovely fine people as it's time I thought to do another Producers Club at Roundtable. This time we will be covering the Closure of Dragon Challenge. It's something that seems to have sort of grabbed a lot of people and put a bit of uproar around. You know, a lot of people are disappointed it's going, and some people, like myself included, are kind of like, I'm not bothered, I think it's about time it went. So I have invited 4 people onto the show to help discuss the Closure of Dragon Challenge. So we will begin by a returning Producers Club member, Mr. Todd Elfcroft, joining us from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Welcome to
Burdenwood. How's it going, Todd?
It's going great. Feel better than ever.
Back from the dead.
Yes. Alive again, for what purpose? To record on UUOP.
And ride Dragon Challenge one last time.
One last time, if I can.
And joining us from Polo, Illinois, Miss Donna Pierce. Hey, Donna.
Hello. And I'm not going to ride Dragon Challenge again.
And joining us from the Sunshine State, from Orlando, Florida, Mr. Tyler Bowman.
Hey, everyone. How are you?
I am good. Thank you for joining us, Tyler. We all hate you because you live in the place we want to live.
Yes.
Well, if someone has to bear that burden, I guess it has to be me. Although, to be honest, it's not really funny right now. It's pretty funny.
And rounding out the corners of our round table. That doesn't work, does it? A table shouldn't be round. It should be square. Is
King Arthur.
Yeah. I always
sit in.
Anyway, from now I've had this conversation. I'm going to introduce her as being from Villas, New Jersey, Mr. Holly Cotter.
Hello, everyone, and I am currently sitting at a round table, so I beg to differ, Lee.
Well, mine's square, so there we go. We will get everybody's stance on how they feel about Dragon Challenge, but I invited these 4 people on very specifically because we are split 50-50 down the middle of those who are feverishly against it being closed, and 2 people who are kind of like, yeah, you can get rid of it, I don't care. So, yes, right, as we know, Dragon Challenge will have its last day of operation on September the 4th this year, and it will be replaced by what we've kind of been told at the moment isn't a lot, so it is kind of shrouded in mystery as far as what it's going to be, but it will be a Harry Potter attraction. Universal described themselves as being an all-new thrill ride that will take you deeper into J.K. Rowling's Wizarding World, where you will encounter some of your favourite characters and creatures, and it'll be unlike anything Universal Orlando have ever done, which means it won't have screens in it. And it will be fun for the entire family. I know there's 2 people now just shaking their heads.
I'll believe it when I don't see the screens.
Yeah, it's because it's going to be VR.
Right.
Which they haven't done.
Suck.
This is going to be fun. So I wanted to start it off basically by going round everyone and getting your opinions on how you felt when you heard that it was officially closing. 'Cause I think we talked about it about a week before, saying the rumours that we were hearing were really, really strong. And then literally, I think it was 4 or 5 days after that episode came out, it was officially announced. So I just want to go around and get your opinions on, how did you feel when you found out officially that it was closing? And I will start with Todd.
Well, I was gutted, as you say, because we were there in '99 when it first all began. And it was greatly themed. And I just feel like, does Harry Potter have to take over everything, every inch of everything? So I will miss it.
Donna?
I couldn't care less.
Yes.
I was there when it opened in '99. I rode it once. I haven't rode it since.
Did you ride both sides, though?
Yes.
Fair enough. So we're starting to get people's perspectives now. Tyler?
I am very, very disappointed that it is being taken away. And I'm being disappointed mostly because, not necessarily because of what Dragon Challenge is or the ride itself, but more so what it represents of getting rid of one of Universal's very rare true thrill ride coasters.
Yeah. I agree. Is this going to be boys against girls?
Let's find out. Holly?
Probably.
It sounds like it, yes, because I could kind of take it or leave it, to be honest with you. I don't have anything against the roller coaster itself, but I've done it a couple of times, and it usually gives me a headache. And you can ride a roller coaster anywhere. That's not really what I go to Universal for. So I'm looking forward to something more themed.
Same here.
Yeah, I'm going to add something in. I assume that we're all coaster fans. It's not just a case of you don't like coasters, therefore Dragon Challenge isn't a thing. Donna, are you a coaster rider as a rule?
I love coasters.
Right.
Just not that one.
Holly?
I also love coasters, and that one's fine. It really is fine. It's just it's not necessarily what I'm looking for there. I know. And I love Rip Ride Rocket, and I think part of that I don't mind that's just a roller coaster with very little theming. I love the restraint. You don't get the smacks to the head. It doesn't push your shoulders down. I absolutely love the restraint system on that.
That's an unpopular opinion, by the way. I've took a lot of hate for liking Rip Ride Rocket, so it's nice to have someone on my side. And Tyler and Todd, I'm assuming you both love coasters as well.
Yeah, Kings Island is out my back door, and I've been riding coasters since I was a kid. And I don't like the indoor screen-based attractions very much, and I can tolerate them. And I'll ride them, but I love the outdoor coasters.
Yeah, same here. I love roller coasters, and the crazier, twistier, turnier it is, the happier I am.
Awesome. So it is just a case of it being that specific one. Right. So we've heard everyone's opinions on how they feel about the attraction. It is time to defend your position.
Okay.
Basically, defend your attraction. So I'm going to go around everyone again, and I want everyone to defend, why you feel, so for Todd, the fact that you're against, that you don't want it to go, why? And then for the other guys, the same thing. And I'm going to start with Holly this time. So Holly, defend your position.
I think it could go, like I've been saying, I would prefer a more themed attraction. I really enjoy the dark rides. It's just very different than anything I get at my local boardwalk or Six Flags. Part of what I'm excited for is that I think, and I'm sure we'll get into this later, so I don't want to say too many specifics, but I really do think it's going to be Forbidden Forest themed, and I'm so excited for that because I'm way into the slightly scary aspects of like Forbidden Journey and Gringotts. I was surprised that is the next thing going. I think there's things that are older that should be going first. I'm probably against most of you. I think that T2 needs to go. I haven't done it the last couple trips we've gone. That kind of bores me at this point.
What?
So I was I'm sorry. So I was surprised that this was the next thing to go, but my initial reaction really was, well, that's okay then. Because I know that it will be Harry Potter, and it's not like we're bringing more Harry Potter into the park. It's already a Harry Potter ride.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So we're not taking anything away from anybody else. And so I'm enjoying that too, that instead of plunking something down, taking something else away and making it Harry Potter, we're just going to change one of the Harry Potter things.
No, I can understand that point. Very cool. Go on then, Todd. I heard you in the background. Defend your position.
Well, it was a perfectly themed land in the beginning. And, you had Merlin, the legendary sorcerer, who would warn guests, a stroll through the forest can be a dangerous proposition. And so I guess you could say I'm kind of a purist, but it bookmarked a time in my life, had the kids there, and it was a reward for getting to the back of the park. And you could either take the Island Skipper tours and get there. So you go past the Magic Fountain, all the things that were there. You get in on a performance of Sinbad, and then you head to the back of the park to either ride fire or ice, and it was immaculately themed. So you had the fire-breathing, dragon and the frigid ice dragon. And there was no better roller coaster theming in the country, really, than at that time. A gorgeous entrance, and it was just a different coaster. It's still, some of the stuff has been taken away, but when you had fire coming within 12 inches of ice, when you had the floor drop out and your feet are dangling there, and then it inverts, there was just nothing like that I had ridden. And so we always look forward to getting that reward when we got to the back of the park to ride one of the best coasters, I thought, in the country. One of the top 10. It's not the best. But for what it was and what you could see when you got on the coaster, I thought it was great. And then when they had to refurbish everything, it kind of took some of the luster out of it. And I love Harry Potter. I love the Diagon Alley and all the things that go with it. But I just hated to see it lose, because the whole forest and Merlinwood and all that just seemed to go down the drain.
Yeah. So
I just think, as far as a purist and getting that reward at the back of the park, that's all going to be gone. And I know it's at the end of the lifespan for that coaster, but I just wish they would recreate it. So I feel like I'm losing a piece of another bookmark, and I'm glad for what's coming, but man, I just wish they wouldn't replace it.
Oh, can someone hand Todd a tissue, please?
I know, it's sad. I'll cry for a minute, and then I'll be the first one on the new ride.
Right, let's go back the other way. Donna, defend your position.
Okay. Well, I understand exactly everything that you said, Todd. I was there when the park opened, when it was Dueling Dragons. I rode both sides, and I know exactly how you felt getting back to the back for that big thrill. And I came off of it kind of, it was not something that thrilled me. I had rode it again up until last December, and only because they said that it was going to be closing. That's the only reason I ever went back on it. I personally am not sad it's going. I'm more excited about the new attraction that's coming.
Mm-hmm.
This was not something that was super thrilling, and yet I'm big into Harry Potter. So I like the idea that we're getting something new Harry Potter. And the way they describe this, honestly, it sounds a lot to me like it's going to be a VR experience, and I'm excited about that.
I haven't heard that, and I hope not. Yeah, I've done a VR coaster before. They're okay, but they're a nightmare loading.
And I understand that, and I guess we'll see that when I'm down there this September and I'm riding SeaWorld and Kraken.
Yes, that does actually look really good, actually.
It is good. Yeah.
Have you ridden it, Todd?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It does actually look really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. I've ridden it a bunch of times, and it's a lot of fun. And the VR actually makes it almost more bearable as a roller coaster, oddly enough, because you don't see the turns coming and anticipate them and be frightened of them. You just watch the video. It's like you're sitting in a moving chair watching a video with a fan being blown on you. Is honestly the best way I can describe Kraken as a VR coaster.
Does that not defeat the object then?
Yeah, honestly, it probably does. Because you don't actually go, oh, yay, I'm going upside down.
Yeah.
Like, you can kind of feel the pressure of going upside down. But again, in the video, you're just outrunning the Kraken. So it kind of does take away from it a little bit. But it also makes it, again, a little bit more bearable if you're a bit trepidatious of roller coasters.
Anyway, I'm sure we'll get into that a bit later on. But Tyler, you're the last one. Defend your position.
Okay, I'm defending my position. Like I said in the intro, I'm thinking of it more of like a macro roller coaster perspective. So with Dragon Challenge being taken away, it's taking away one of 3 open-air roller coasters that is all of Universal and Islands of Adventure. So all you had was Rip Ride Rocket, Hulk, and Dragon Challenge, and now that's being taken away. So now, other than the kind of sort of thrill ride of the Mummy, which is a thrill ride and is a roller coaster, but since it's a dark ride, it's indoors, you only have 2 true thrill ride roller coasters in that entire park. And the rest of it is all the screen-based stuff, and then Mummy. And then in an even more macro, kind of selfish way of thinking about it, that's one of the few open-air thrill rides in all of Orlando. Disney has the Big Thunder Mountain, which is okay, I guess, but it's, for kids, as Disney is. And then SeaWorld has the 3 roller coasters. So that's another open-air thrill ride being taken away just in the Orlando area, and the closest you're going to have is if you go over to Busch Gardens to go to Tampa, or if you go to the 2 rides that they have over at Fun Spot. And it's just too bad that that kind of ride is being taken away from those of us who live here and actually enjoy it.
Interesting. I'm going to throw this out there, right? I want to open a little debate rather than it being sort of one-on-one what we've been here. And please be respectful of each other, because I think this could get heated. It's been really hard.
I love all you guys in advance.
It's been really hard for me to sit here and not comment on the things that have been said already. Trust me. Do you think... Right, I'm going to throw this to Holly and Donna first off. Do you feel the conversation we'd be having now would be slightly different if we'd have been talking about Dragon Challenge as it was Dueling Dragons, as a dueling coaster?
I'm so glad that you said that, Lee, because the whole time Todd was talking, I was thinking, if Dueling Dragons was what we were talking about, because it's not. We're talking about Dragon Challenge now. Really, it's almost a different ride.
Yeah.
As I'm looking at the photos, I never got to experience the original Dueling Dragons. I did ride it dueling the first time I rode it, but it had already been changed into a Harry Potter attraction.
Right.
When I look at the photos of the original entrance, I can't believe they've taken it down.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that I would be, and I'm betraying my people at this point, but I think I would be on the other side of this conversation if it was the original Dueling Dragons.
Okay.
I will kind of agree in the sense that, yes, I think it would be a different conversation if it was still dueling. That being said, I probably still myself wouldn't care because I didn't care for it. And I did write it as Dueling Dragons and dueling. And it just did not impress me. But that could have just been because I had such over expectation of it.
Yeah.
And it didn't live up to it.
That's possible. I had no expectations. The first time I went to Universal in my adult life, I think I went when I was a kid that I just don't remember. It was 2010, right when it had changed, right when this ride had changed over, actually. I didn't know anything that was there. I went in completely blind.
Wow.
And it must have been, the whole park must have impressed me because we've been back once or twice a year ever since. And I didn't know that it dueled. I really knew nothing. And the first time those coasters got within whatever it is, 12, 18 inches of it, I was terrified. And I was, my poor husband, you've already heard a little about my poor husband, Yuli. He is terrified. He's terrified of rides, roller coasters in general, especially ones that go upside down. And I was lying to him and convincing him that, well, the more scared you are in line, the more fun the ride's going to be.
Okay.
So we're both screaming at the top of our lungs. And then I realized that it's going to happen several more times that you almost look like you're going to hit the other one. But he came off loving it. I came off loving it.
Yeah. We took Jade on it when we came over in 2015, and until that trip, she hadn't really ridden any big coasters. So the first thing she did was Rip Ride Rocket and absolutely adored it. And Dragon Challenge just blew her away. And I'm so disappointed that she never got to experience it dueling. When we took the kids the first time in 2009, it was all the construction was going on, where they had all the walls going through Hogsmeade, so you could still get to it. And it was dueling, but it wasn't set up correctly. So all the when it was going up the lift hill at the beginning, it didn't seem to weigh them properly like it originally did. So all the near misses were just slightly mistimed. Okay, I'm going to throw this to Tyler and Todd then. Do you think what Dragon Challenge is now compared to what Dueling Dragons was, For what they've done to the ride? So basically, they've changed the entrance. The queue's nowhere near as impressive as it was. The ride doesn't duel anymore. Does that make it slightly easier for you to digest that it's going, or not?
I can start off and just say that I probably rode it when it was Dueling Dragons once, because I went to Universal back in high school. For those who weren't in the pre-conversations, I live in Orlando now. I didn't before, so I vacationed here for my senior year of high school, and I think I rode it dueling once then, and I barely remember it. And the fact that it was dueling honestly didn't leave that much of an impression on me.
Right.
So I've ridden rides that have dueled and done stuff like that before, and to me, being on a ride like that is so manic in general, with the corkscrews and the turns and the upside downs, that I barely noticed that another car was going at the same time. So it just was another piece of background noise flying by my blurred eyes as I was flying at however many miles per hour. So the fact that it was dueling doesn't really mean all that much to me.
Right.
And I don't remember the original queue at all, although I love the queue of Dueling Dragons. I'm very much in the minority of that, but I think it's one of the best themed queues in all of Universal, to be totally honest.
What, now?
I think, well, yeah.
Okay.
And I think that even that is going to be missed. And I'm sure the new queue is going to be fantastic, just like the beast that we are going to find. But the fact that it is or isn't dueling probably doesn't mean all that much to me. Todd will have much better opinion on it.
Go on, Todd.
I think I love the dueling aspect, and we did notice it, and to come within 12 inches of each other, that was awesome. No other coaster really had that kind of a thing. You invert 5 times on this still. I hated the change in theming, but I understood it. But in the early days, you had Merlinwood Forest Castle. That's what this was about. And there was, as far as walking into that, it just was fantastic theming, and you felt like you were immersed in Merlinwood. And, we fell for all that. I fell for Orlando Escape, so I'm a sucker for anything. And I do agree that there's 3 open-air coasters in the parks, and my thought is if they take this away, I wish they would add an open-air, like maybe in Seuss Landing, and do the Matterhorn or whatever
Mount Crumpet.
Yeah, Mount Crumpet. That's what I meant to say. Thank you, Lee. So
Tracy will be listening to this now, shaking her head.
She'll be smacking me. But also, going into this too is the view. There's no better view. There's things that you see from Dueling Dragons that you won't see from anywhere else. And if it goes into like an indoor coaster and screen base, then you kind of lose that. And so, to be in the Lost Continent, to know that a computer is weighing each car to make sure that they come within inches of each other, that was great. And it only took 11 years for the accidents to happen where people were throwing things at each other. So what changed in that 11 years from when it was Dueling Dragons? What one thing changed in that 11 years?
People.
Well, is it people, or was the theming that changed? You're right, it is people. But it took 11 years before somebody screwed it up and threw a coin at somebody. And, then to me, then everything was drawn back, and the whole reason for its existence was thrown in doubt. And so we're going to change it because it's going to cost us more money.
But other than being about 1.5 miles long, doesn't the queue as it stands now take you to just as fantastical of a place? It's not original because it's not Merlinwood Forest, but you're still seeing the actual candles that are in the sky that you see in the movie. You're seeing the eggs, you're seeing the Triwizard Cup, you're seeing all the banners, you're seeing everything the same as if you were going through the castle, which is a queue that everybody seems to love. So I don't necessarily see the difference in the queues other than it's not what it used to be.
I'll be honest, the queue for Dragon Challenge at this point is forgettable. I can remember very, very little of it. The biggest thing that sticks out is the metal detectors, which I understand why they put them there. I don't understand why we haven't had them duel since that point. The whole reason they stopped it dueling was because people whether you feel that people were throwing things on purpose or whether it was just things in people's pockets, either way, you've eradicated that thing happening because no one can take anything on it anymore. I don't understand why it hasn't dueled again since.
I think it's the risk, Lee, that people are getting through there with stuff in their pockets. I can't tell you how many times I've been behind someone and you can see their pack of cigarettes sticking out of their pocket. Papers, it doesn't have to be going that fast. It doesn't have to be that big of an item to hurt someone. And I think, just there's still the risk of people, trying to get away with it. The poor guest that was hurt in the one major accident anyway wound up losing his eye.
Yeah.
I'm sure none of us would like that to happen to us.
No, and that's crazy that even would happen. I mean, for Universal, you don't anticipate, and I wonder if they, this 18-year lifespan, if they calculate how much they put into it and how much they've had to pay out. I'm assuming they weigh that kind of thing for an attraction. And it's just come to the end of its life, and I completely understand that. But I do believe that if they would replace it with something similar, maybe in another part of the park, that would be great. Whether they're going to do that, it seems like everything's leading toward indoor or screen-based, and if they can make money at that, then they're going to do that.
I think the thing is at this point, can't remember what it was, I think it was Holly said at the beginning, that's not what people go to a Universal Park for anymore.
Right.
Unthemed roller coasters.
Except for me.
Except for you, Todd. But as a rule, people go, what theme parks are now has changed. What Universal did with the Wizarding World of Harry Potter has entirely changed what people expect from a theme park now. People expect highly themed, highly immersive areas and attractions, and I think the days of unthemed coasters, I'm surprised the Hulk got the retrack that it did, to be quite honest. We were watching a Tim Tracker video last night, and he was walking down New York towards the Mummy from San Francisco, and I love Rip Ride Rocket, but God, is it an eyesore? It really is.
I mean, it was put in the wrong place, was at the wrong time. Once again, I think it, to draw people to the front of the park, to give something as you walk across from Hard Rock to attract you, and that's either a good idea or a bad idea or both. But Rip Ride Rocket is, I think, a worse coaster than Dragon Challenge for a lot of reasons. But if they were to take anyone out, I would say do that. Take Rip Ride Rocket and form something new. But that's in my mind, that they're going to take it out and they're going to form something new, the exact same kind of open air ride. And I guess that's why my heartstrings are pulled for this, because I think they're not going to create another open air coaster. They're going to say, we have Hulk, we have Rip Ride Rocket, and that's enough.
Well, they won't, because kind of like I was saying, the thing is, you expect, if you look at what Diagon Alley and Hogsmeade are now, it's a highly immersive area. And Dragon Challenge, when you're on that coaster, you can see the school across the road, the tops of the buildings. It's not immersive once you get up on that coaster, and that's what people expect now. Whether you feel that's what it should be or not, at the end of the day, people expect something that, and I'm surprised J.K. Rowling actually let them get away with doing what they did, because she, how closely she was there on the building of that area in the park, making sure everything was exactly how she wanted it. I'm surprised she let them get away with just doing a largely unthemed coaster.
I think it's a testament to how much has changed has it been 20 years? Oh, Lord. It's been, almost 20 years for Islands of Adventure, and I think it's what crowds expect. It's just a whole different temperament nowadays to what can be done. And I think it's going to be fabulous. The new coaster, I think, is going to be fabulous, and I'll be there to ride it. But I will miss this coaster.
I agree with you partly. Like we've already said, I think if we were talking about Dragon Challenge, I'd be slightly upset, but we're not.
Yeah.
We're talking about something that's not even half the ride it was. I mean, I've said on the podcast before, I feel at this point, this was always coming. That entrance to that ride is so nondescript compared to what it was. It doesn't. You walked you walked into Lost Continent before. You saw those two dragons. It was all set up that the focus was on that attraction. You know, you had the circle spot at the entrance where you'd stand in the middle of, and you'd see every near miss. It drew you in. Now, you could easily walk past the entrance of that ride. And I think that's been done on purpose to funnel people away from it, to give them an excuse, well, no one ever rides it anymore. Let's get rid of it.
Well, maybe they planned to do this all along. I mean, think about it. Harry Potter is their biggest draw. Universal is known for coming up with new rides and attractions every year or so. Why not a new Harry Potter ride to draw more people?
It makes sense.
It does. You know, I think originally when they built that land, they had a budget. They needed to stick to it. They thought, right, let's just retheme the two coasters we've got because they're still good and they still kind of fit, and plough the money in that we're saving doing two new attractions into the land itself and Forbidden Journey. We know this is going to be a complete cash cow for us. We'll let it go a couple of years, build up the money. I mean, I've said it before. I feel that I read somewhere that they made the money back that it cost them to build that land in butterbeer sales alone in the first 6 months, which is amazing. So
there's no doubt that they've made a ton of money from it.
Yeah.
What happens when the theming runs out? Like how long do they have the rights to the Harry Potter theming? And so they pour all this money into theming these lands, and then what if the IP's pulled out from under them, or J.K. Rowling says, I don't want to do this anymore? Then what do you do?
That's a very interesting standpoint.
Well, the thing about the Lost Continent is that it was their thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was the beauty of Dueling Dragons. And that was the beauty of that theming in the Lost Continent, that it was theirs. So there's no money in theirs. There's more money in this IP. And what's next? Are they going to go to Superhero Island and change the comic book store to a Harry Potter bookstore? No. Or heaven forbid they change it to DC. And I know this is not this program, but
please change it to DC.
Yes,
I'd be so fine with that.
Me too. I'll be totally on board with that.
I can't be on the spot. I can't listen to this. I'm muting everybody. Anyway, I'm not going to go into a corner and pout over all this. I'm still going to go to the park. I have tickets. We have a room reserved, all that stuff. But man, it just is one of those things that in 20 years, the whole park industry's been turned on its ear. And I can see it.
Tyler, obviously living in Orlando, I'm assuming you go to the parks a lot more than the rest of us do.
Oh yeah, it's we choose a park about every weekend, and we go to them and we just rotate them.
So as far as Dragon Challenge, when you go, have you ever seen it with a long line over the last sort of 2 or 3 years?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Really?
The line. Oh yeah, for the most part. Obviously on the off season, you can go about as far as about the wood gates where the dragon's roaring and bashing his head or hand or whatever wings against the thing about to where the split is, give or take. But on a normal everyday day, it's generally back to where the candle room is.
When we came out in 2015 for Horror Nights, we never waited more than 15 minutes for it. And that's a fairly busy time of the year. It's like the last week.
I haven't seen it higher than 5 minutes the last 4 trips we made.
Really?
Right.
Literally 5 minutes on the board, yeah.
There's a longer wait to get patted down through the metal detectors than there is to get on the ride.
Yeah, really.
You have to keep in mind, too, there are the ride wait time is always going to be low because there are 2 roller coasters going on essentially at the same time. So it does split and take that off. But
that's true.
So there's usually a shorter line on that one versus most of the other rides, but that's not necessarily because it's less popular or less attended. It's just there's 2 rides in one.
No, it's a good point. I think that's
a good majority of the time. I would say. I've gone to Universal and walked on plenty of rides.
Yeah.
And I've gone entire trips where I've walked on plenty of rides. I can safely say I've either never And if I have it, I could count it on one hand the amount of times that I've walked on to Dragon Challenge. There is enough of a line to at least merit me staying back a little bit and having to choose which dragon I want to ride based on, obviously, which is the shortest line.
That is a great point, actually, right? Because the capacity for that attraction's got to be way higher than a lot of the other ones. Like, you look at Despicable Me, that thing's always got a 65-minute wait, so you think, well, it must be one of the most popular rides in the park. Honestly, it's terrible. I've ridden it once, and that was enough for me. But it's just, the capacity's horrendous, so it's always, and obviously it's the first ride in the park, the first thing you come to in the park if you've got kids, so... But yeah, I suppose you can't always judge the wait time, how good an attraction is by the wait times. Right, I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to hear from our sponsors, and then we'll be back to discuss the future of Dragon Challenge.
Doesn't listening to the crew at UUOP every week make you wish that you were actually at Universal Orlando Resort? Well, stop wishing and start doing. Mouse and Muggle Travel Company is the perfect place to begin. Their team of concierge-level travel planners will help you every step of the way. And for you muggles who also love the mouse, their team of experts specialize in Disney destinations too. And the best part of all, their services are free to you. So, if you're ready to plan your next Disney or Universal vacation, let Mouse and Muggle Travel Company do all the work for you. Just go to mouseandmuggle.com and fill out a no-obligation quote request. Or send an email to info@mouseandmuggle.com. And remember, whether you're a mouse or a muggle, Mouse and Muggle Travel Company can help make your next vacation simply magical.
Welcome back, everyone. You have heard everyone give their reasons for why they feel the ride should go or stay. It's been quite an interesting, lively debate. But now we're going to move on and we want to talk about the future. This could be quite interesting. Now, I've heard some quite strong rumours. I've had some chats with Seth Kabursky, and I think we've talked about on the show quite a bit of what we think it's going to be. But I want to hear what you guys think it's going to be. So obviously we know it's going to be Harry Potter themed. Tyler's already kind of hinted at what he thinks it's going to be based on, but we will see.
Spoiler alert.
And they've also said it's going to be like unlike anything they've done before, which is also quite interesting. So we will go around the table again. I want you to give me two stances. What do you think it will be, and what would you want it to be? Let's get Todd out the way first. Go on, Todd.
What I think it'll be? I think it'll be screen-based. I think it'll be something to do... I wish it would be Ministry of Magic themed, but I think they're going to try to do something bigger with that.
That doesn't fit there anyway.
No, but I would hope it would have to do something with the forest in Harry Potter. Or maybe they could do Harry Potter goes to Merlin Wood and goes to the Merlin. Maybe they could recreate the Lost Continent. Anyway, no help you.
What if, obviously, that's what you think it's going to be. If you could have your say on what it was going to be, what would you rather they did with it?
In my heart of hearts, I would rather they create some type of open air coaster again, but have it themed somewhere to either what was the game they play in Harry Potter
Quidditch.
Where they ride the brooms? Quidditch.
I thought you were a Harry Potter fan.
Oh my God.
I know.
Just asked that.
What is going on?
Lord.
Oh, Todd.
Be butchered. I just can't think straight. I've kind of had a heart attack, so
I've just had one and all.
Anyway, if they did a Quidditch ride or something like that and had it outdoor, I'd be happy with that. But they're not going to do that.
It's funny you say that because I know the original concepts were that it was going to have a Quidditch ride that was, if you go and look, actually, the concept art for it is kicking around on the internet. When we had Hate to Fly on earlier in the year, I think we talked very briefly with him about it, and it was, if you imagine how Hogsmeade is now, but it was more like a high-in-the-sky Zeus trolley train ride type thing, that it went above the land itself. That would have been so cool. But I think they kind of went against it because it ruined the theme in a little bit, because you would have coaster tracks above the land.
But whatever it's going to be, I think because of the pressure that Disney is now putting on Universal, it's going to be great.
It has to be. It has to be. Donna?
Yep. Okay. Well, we all know that Universal is very innovative. And we all know that Universal is very tricky about the way they describe things. So I actually thought about everything they described it, and I think it's going to be a VR outdoor coaster.
Okay.
I mean, they describe it as the next generation of thrill ride, which VR is. They call it a coaster experience.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
They've also said it's something like they've never done before.
Now, exactly. It just sounds a lot like it's going to be something VR.
The only thing that I think potentially would throw a spanner in the works is they have said it's going to be family friendly.
VR can be family friendly too.
I suppose it doesn't necessarily have to be a big thrill coaster.
Right. And VR, I mean, you can make VR just about anything and it could still be family friendly.
I think we're going to look back at this podcast in a year or so's time, and someone's going to be right and someone's going to be wrong, and we go, VR? Really? Nah.
But everybody's doing it. Fun Spot's got a VR coaster.
And everybody's doing it.
World's now got one. Yeah.
So Universal should too.
Well, here's a question for you all then. If it did turn out to be a VR coaster, would you be happy with that, or would you feel it was a cop-out?
I would love it.
I wouldn't be happy with that. I don't like wearing those goggles.
You and
I get
Tracy
too
are the
skeeved
same.
with the germs.
Oh,
It
yes.
would be okay, I guess. I think it would be too trendy. I think it would be, everyone's talking about VR now. Let's make it a VR coaster.
Yeah.
And then in 5 years from now, when VR is played out and roller coasters, then it's just going to be, hey, remember that time they had a VR coaster?
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of VR. I'd rather just be open air, but you know that you've got all the equipment, and I think it is trendy. So, you know, if they do VR, I'll still be there, but
I think that's it. The problem is VR it's not become widespread enough, and I think if they do go down that route, it's a little gimmicky still. I think it's here, and you're going to see it a lot, whether it's a route they want to go down with, because like you say there, is VR still going to be a thing in 5 years' time? Will it go the way of like 3D movies? No one really cares about 3D movies anymore. You even look, 3D TVs have kind of gone. So is VR still going to be as strong as it is now in 5 years' time? And then you can't answer that question, but
we shall see.
Yeah, basically.
I don't know how they would handle the theming of that too. Like what storyline would make sense that they're putting VR glasses on you? Like if they were going to do like a Quidditch themed one, that may be the only scenario where it would make sense because they wear the goggles when they play.
That does make. I never thought of that. That makes sense.
Yeah, but other than that, I can't quite think of another reason they could give you for why you're putting something on your face.
No, that's a great point, because I think if you look at Forbidden Journey out in Hollywood, when that was 3D, the 3D glasses were like the goggles that he wears in, is it the prison?
And look how fast they got rid of that, and it wasn't even like a high-tech glass.
Yeah.
It was just regular.
Right.
Yeah.
How sturdy are the VR glasses?
Yeah, right.
I'd actually heard from a few people that it did actually make it a better attraction. I find that hard to believe. I don't think Forbidden Journey needs to be 3D. But Tyler?
I agree.
What do you think it's going to be? What do you want it to be?
As for what I think that it's going to be, I think, as I've semi-mentioned, I think it's going to be a fantastic Beast and Where to Find Them kind of ride. But I think that Universal is going to copy a lot of what Disney just did in Pandora with the Navi River Adventure, which, for those who haven't ridden on it, you're on a boat, you're going through the water, and you're in the forest. But within the forest that they created as a live forest, there are screens where animals are walking and trotting by, and bugs are all around and stuff like that. So I don't think it's going to be a river ride. I think it's going to be closer to what the rumor of the Arthur and the Incredibles kind of ride. So it will be a bit of a coaster, but you're going to be in something where there are going to be screens around you where the animals are going to be walking by and trumpeting and doing all of that stuff.
So I think we talked about it before Kong opened, that's what we were hoping. So basically what you're saying is the screens will be more background rather than the focus of the attraction itself.
Correct. And Navi River Adventure got a ton of press for doing it so wonderfully and that it was a brand new experience and all of that stuff. So I think that despite Universal saying that they're going to do a brand new experience, next generation stuff, I would foresee that Universal's description of, quote, next generation is just using screens in a different manner.
Okay. I just hope they do some decent animatronics, because the one, Tyler, is that animatronic in the Navi River Adventure as mind-blowing as everyone says it is?
In my opinion, no. It is a good animatronic. It really, really is. But quite honestly, to me, the best animatronic in all of Orlando is still Ursula from the Little Mermaid ride. And that's however many years old that is. But the movements on her are much more realistic and quick twitch movements of her shoulders and her fingers. Stuff like that is much more than the Navi. The Navi seems like an animatronic because it's slower. It does have the quick twitch movements, but not nearly as much.
See, I love the Wicked Witch of the West in the Great Movie Ride. I think that's a phenomenal animatronic.
Ooh, R.I.P. Great Movie Ride.
Yeah.
Too soon.
That's Disney. I don't care.
Good point.
And they could do all the different ways you fly with the VR in Harry Potter. You're on a broom, you're in the car. They could change all that up if they would. And, I'm looking forward to it. I'm kind of excited about it. And I'll go through a period of grief, and then I will be excited. But it could be neat. And it just depends on how much they put into it. And hopefully it's slightly more than Kong. I think Kong is a great ride. I think they're going to do some of the same things that they did with Kong, but hopefully they up their game on this.
Yeah. So Tyler, you've told us what you think it's going to be. What would you want it to be?
Since it's described as family friendly, I want it to be as thrilling as family friendly can possibly be, which would essentially be, based on the videos that I've watched, would almost be that Arthur and the Incredibles kind of ride.
Yeah.
It ends with, them going outdoors in their little semi-roller coaster kind of thing where you're moving from one place to another and the wind is blowing through your hair and it looks all fun and stuff. So I think it actually is going to be almost that exact same ride, if not wonderfully, wonderfully close to it.
Okay. Go on, Holly, finishes off.
I think a lot of the same things that Tyler does. I think it is going to be like that video I saw of the Arthur and the Invisibles ride. I don't know if they'll really do part indoor, part outdoor. I think that they'd probably make it all indoor so that the attraction is available no matter what the weather is outside. But I think that rather than going inside and outside, you'll go from, some practical sets to screens, kind of like you do in Forbidden Journey, but they're going to have to step it up if they really are saying that it's going to be something they've never done before. Obviously, they can't do that exactly. I like the ride vehicles on that. I do have a small child, so I'm glad that it's going to be family friendly, although I agree that I want it to be right on the edge of it, which my kid will be so fine with. She's upset every time we go that she's not tall enough for the Hulk yet.
Good.
She's a lot like Jade, but she's only 5. So we're working on it.
5?
She's 5. Yeah, she just turned 5.
I need to borrow her to ride the Pterodon Flyers.
Yeah, there is that.
You should. It's so fun, but another show.
Me too.
And I think it will be. I still think it will be Forbidden Forest themed.
Yes,
there's a lot you could do with that, with practical. If anyone has watched the videos of the new Forbidden Forest part of the studio tour, the Warner Brothers studio tour, they have a great Aragog and Buckbeak and a Phoenix that look amazing. I don't see why those couldn't be put right into the ride just the way they are, and work for that. Also, throughout the movies, you see the unicorns and centaurs that live in the Forbidden Forest, and I think that would be very cool.
I think when you look at where it is, I don't think it can be anything but Forbidden Forest themed.
So, Lee, you think Forbidden Forest fits there?
Without a doubt, it's on the Forbidden Forest is kind of on the edge of Hogsmeade.
I thought it was more on the edge of the school, but I think we could still get away with it.
Yeah,
it's got to be big, so maybe it does stretch around behind Hogs.
Yeah, because the thing is, obviously, you're not to scale because it's quite a walk from Hogwarts to Hogsmeade itself, but I think it's close enough that it fits there. The only other thing that potentially would fit in that space would be the Quidditch pitch, really.
Right.
And I kind of hope they don't go down that route. I think a Forbidden Forest themed attraction would be much better.
Yes, I do too. Although if they do a Quidditch ride, I have a fantasy that they will do
Fantasy.
the one where they
Tell
go
me
to
your
the...
other fantasies.
Todd.
I hope
I'm
that
sorry.
that
I'm
if
on
they
drugs.
do a Quidditch themed, and I know it doesn't fit, but it's still something that I've thought about, the Quidditch World Cup when the Death Eaters come and
Okay.
ruin
Oh,
everything.
that would be
That's
awesome.
what I want.
It could be
That's-
neat.
that's-
It'll never
I
happen.
mean, that's a great
but
idea. I
I
think
would love that.
They already have Quidditch in the castle ride, so I can't imagine that they're going to have Quidditch in the castle ride with the Dementors on the Quidditch pitch being such a big part of that ride, and then also having a separate Quidditch-based ride, unless they redo the video of the first one. So.
The days of potentially getting some darker things in, I think, are coming. You only have to look at what they've been doing over in Japan for Horror Nights over there. I think JK, she is becoming a little less precious with her thing, and there's going to be an interesting conversation coming up on Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando next year, and the show soon, because I think of everything that we know that's going to happen at the parks, the rumours that are going around about Fear Factor at the moment, I think Horror Nights next year is going to be a very, very different event. And I think potentially it could open the way to have something inside Diagon Alley as far as Dementors. I mean, if you look at, I think we've talked about it before, you look at the projection technology out there to do projections, kind of like, is it Paint the Night that they did out in Disneyland where they projected on all of Main Street? A similar thing to that, but kind of Deathly Hallows, so they could project on Diagon Alley to make it look all dilapidated and like broken in and just done, would be phenomenal.
So let me ask you a question here. Do you guys think this is the death of the open air coaster for Universal?
For Universal, yeah, I think that is going to be on its way out a little bit, unless they do something where they mix it into a ride, like where you would go maybe sometimes outside of a building, kind of like in The Mummy, where you have the sections with all the stuff going on, and then they have a little short roller coaster section.
Right.
If the wall opened up and you went outside for those roller coaster sections, it would kind of be the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
That would be my hope. I don't think that's what they're going to do, but that's what I wish they could do with this.
No, I agree. I agree with you, Holly. I think you said that it could be inside, outside, but I think they'll want it to run in all weathers, so I don't think it will be. And I think if you look at Islands of Adventure as a whole, very little or very few of their rides are indoors, which I know we've been before on when the weather was bad, and we ended up going over to the studios because in bad weather, there's not a lot you can do at Islands of Adventure.
Yeah, you can do all of Islands in about an hour in the rain.
Yeah.
It's just, they can't afford to. I mean, obviously it's open air now, but they can't afford to have new things be that way where it's going to get shut down.
Yeah.
I think from now on it'll be like Kong, where they can change the track. If they ever do an outside portion, they'll be able to change it so it'll continue to run. And I appreciate that. I don't live locally either, so I'm only going, I'm lucky enough to get to go once or twice a year is how I feel about it. But, if it rains every day that I'm there and half the stuff is closed down, I would be really sad about that.
Yeah.
I would think it depends on your definition of an outdoor open air coaster, because right next door to Dragon Challenge, you have the Flight of the Hippogriff. And those are both technically outdoor roller coasters, but they are two very different experiences.
Right.
I think that the days of the Dragon Challenge kind of roller coaster is definitely over in Universal and Islands of Adventure, but the mystery third park that we think might happen, might not happen, there's definitely ripe for that area, and I think they're going to have at least one, if not two. But as far as Universal and Islands of Adventure go, I think there could be a kid-based kind of roller coaster, quote unquote. But I would venture to say, yeah, in Islands and in Universal, the Dragon Challenges and Rip Rides of the world.
So the success of SeaWorld's roller coasters, you don't think Universal is looking at that and saying, maybe we need some of that over here?
Again, they could in the third park. I mean, if anyone's been paying attention to like what the stock experts and bank people say, which I highly doubt anybody has, but again, living here, The experts are saying that with how badly SeaWorld has done over the past couple of years, their future is in being more of a thrill-seeking ride park, almost going toward more of the Busch Gardens route.
Yeah.
And it's being reflected in that with the building of Mako, with the redoing and the marketing push of Kraken, and then also the new water ride they're going to put in that has that 40-foot drop, which is going to be the largest in at least the country, if not the world. But that's definitely being seen as the future. So Universal might see that and say to themselves, well, yeah, we should do the same thing. And again, that would be for the third park. You're not going to be able to fit something inside of the little space that is currently Universal and Islands of Adventure. And again, keep in mind with Nintendo coming up, they're probably going to have some kind of kid-friendly outdoor coaster thing happening with one of those little Nintendo lands.
I think in fairness, Universal will never look at SeaWorld and worry about what they're doing.
True.
Correct.
You know, you look at, Todd, you said the success of SeaWorld's coasters, but what a success for SeaWorld is compared to what a success for Universal be are two entirely different things.
Correct.
Don't know what's your thoughts on, kind of largely unthemed outdoor coasters?
Honestly, I think it's going to depend on what they do with Dragon Challenge. Now, if they make that an outdoor coaster, then I'm going to say no, I don't think it's the death of it because they're not going to change Hulk. They just got done retracking that. They're not going to close that down. I do think if they do make it an inside coaster, then yes, I see Rip Ride Rocket going by the wayside too. But they still won't get rid of Hulk.
No, and that's the one that throws a spanner in the works for everything. When you consider that they're taking Dragon Challenge out, you know, you're going to have two, the Hulk and Rip Ride Rocket, and everyone's complained about Rip Ride Rocket from day one. Why they went down the route of retracking the Hulk and not pulling it down and doing something else is quite an interesting... I don't know what the mentality behind that was.
Was it balance?
I don't know, because apparently it's no better. Darren and Hunter, when they both rode it just after it opened, it's still rough as hell.
Yeah, no, it's not any better at all.
Yeah, I don't understand that then. I don't understand how you can literally put what is effectively a brand new coaster in and it still be as rough as the old one.
But they also rethemed the queue.
Yes, which is also very interesting because
I think it's actually worse now.
Well,
terrible.
Obviously, having not been through it, but having spoken to enough people that have, apart from the entrance, they've completely taken out any reference to the Hulk in there, have they not?
Right.
Most of it.
That's interesting.
I mean, the beautiful thing about that was, I think it's going to work this time, and then you blast off, and it was great.
Yeah.
And in the early days, Hulk was one of the smoothest roller coasters that I'd ever ridden. And now it's almost as rough as it was when they shut it down. Little better.
And I think that's the thing that answers that question: is have we seen the death of outdoor coasters at sort of Universal parks? I think yes. I think because you get you've got the four of you here all sort of saying, the Hulk's a bit rough and Dragon Challenge is, it bangs my head around. Even Rip Ride Rocket, I know I love the restraints, Holly, the same as you do. It still kind of knocks me about a bit. I don't know whether it's just because I'm old.
It could be. That could be it.
What's a roller coaster that's of that vein that doesn't knock you around? Isn't that the point of those roller coasters?
Exactly.
Yes. That's the fun of it.
That's not the fun of it.
You not be knocked around when you're doing a corkscrew.
Fair enough. Right. Well, this has been a really good debate. I've really enjoyed it. But I did give you guys some homework to end the episode. So I'm going to go around individually, and I want to wrap it up by asking you all to sum up your feelings on Dragon Challenge in 3 words or less. And I will start with Holly.
Oh no, I'm not prepared.
Oh, well, we will finish with Holly then. Tyler.
I'm sorry.
So did you say me?
Tyler, yes.
My 3 words are too darn bad, because it's just too darn bad that a solid outdoor thrill ride roller coaster is leaving a park that is slowly turning into land of video screens. And it is that kind of ride that's being taken out of the whole of Orlando that are my favorite kinds of ride that I just don't have as much of an opportunity to ride anymore, much less at Universal. So it's just too darn bad.
I do agree with that statement. If this new attraction is very screen heavy, I fear for their guest services department and their Twitter account, because they will get some serious hate.
As well they should. If that
Agreed.
ends up being that way. If it ends up being something different, then I will gladly eat my words while riding a roller coaster I love.
This is the problem. I can't remember. I think it was Donna said earlier. We know that Universal can, their creative team is creative. They can do some great work. I would say they are, but I think they need someone holding their hand slightly. So when Forbidden Journey got built, I think J.K. Rowling was over their shoulders for the entire thing, and that for me was the last great attraction that Universal built. I like Gringotts. I don't think it's on the same level as a Forbidden Journey, and I think that's because she left them to it a little bit more. But they have kind of phoned it in with the last few attractions when they've been left to do with what they want to do, and that's what concerns me a little bit.
And we get Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me. I'm looking forward to riding Fallon when I get back, but it just worries me that the innovation's gone. When they raised the bar with Forbidden Journey, for me, it's the perfect amalgamation of a thrilling attraction with the best, the screens are used where screens needed to be used, and then the practical effects really round out that attraction. It is the perfect attraction for me. Since that, they've kind of just sort of rested on the laurels and gone back to doing what's easy rather than what's groundbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
But we will see. Donna, your 3 words, please.
I came up with 3 words the second you said didn't do it. I don't care.
Fair enough.
I love it.
Todd, go on.
Well, just the IP over the original property, and we're not going to see Fire and Ice anymore. Say goodbye to the Enchanted Forest and Merlin and all that goes into that. No more Fire Dragon, no more Ice Dragon. And to sum it up, I would say goodbye to Merlin Wood.
That's more than 3 words. Oh, it's goodbye
Well, the
one
last
word.
3 was goodbye to Merlin Wood. That's what I was using.
It's goodbye. I never know whether goodbye is 1 word or 2.
1 word.
All right. Tracy.
So long, Merlin Wood.
There you go. That's better. Sorry. Tracy will be going, you should know that goodbye is 1 word. Holly, have you come up with...
I have. I'm sorry. I'm right there with
fine.
Donna. I think that is the reason that I've struggled so hard with finding 3 words. I also talk a lot, so 3 words is very limiting to me.
I know that
But
feeling.
I didn't want to go with I don't care, and it's not a knock against Donna at all. I just wanted it to be more positive with it. So I'm gonna say, please impress me. Those are my 3 words.
I like that one. That is a much more positive spin on it. It will be interesting to see what comes with this attraction. Like I say, Universal are very good at giving you information, but not really giving you information. It's like
Correct.
all that time when Skull Island was being built. It's like, so that thing you build in there, what's that going to be? That thing over there? What thing over there? There's what you're talking
They
about.
did put out a series of videos to kind of introduce Skull Island and Reign of Kong, didn't they?
Yeah, but how long was that being built before they acknowledged that was being
Yeah.
built?
Maybe they'll do better.
They do it all the time. They're unlike Disney, where they go, we're going to build Pandora, and then don't start it for 6 years. Universal are halfway through it before they announce it.
Right.
Yeah, I'd rather
As
do
a rule.
everything Universal's way.
Although I did find it interesting that Universal seemed to have gone down the Disney way of doing things, because I saw a photo on Twitter yesterday that they've actually have billboards up around Orlando with "Come Scream Goodbye" and the inverted loop near miss for Dragon Challenge September 4th, which I thought was quite cool. And it's interesting because I don't think they've ever done that with anything before.
No, they seem to have given us, I think, more notice than usual on a ride closing. I could be wrong about that.
I'm trying to think when Twister closed.
But like Twister, I remember Twister being so fast. And it always scares me when I think about it, because my daughter loves ET so much that I always think, God, if they ever announce that that's going to close, we have to get down there. But what if they only give me 2 weeks?
Yeah. I think Twister, because they announced Twister when we were
was
there.
fast.
We were
I don't
there.
remember, but it was fast.
Yeah, we were there at the time because I'd got up, I think it was like the Thursday morning, So I made sure that we went and did it that day. And it might have been 2 weeks. You might be right, actually.
Yeah, Twister was very fast, and as was Earthquake/Disaster. And I can tell you, down here, there were never any billboards telling you to go ride those two one last time.
It's interesting that they've chosen to do it with Dragon Challenge.
We'll be there on one of the last days, so hopefully if my heart can take it, we'll ride it one last time.
Here's a quick question just to finish things off. Do we think, for old time's sake, they will allow that ride to duel once more?
No.
No.
It would be cool if they did, but no, I don't think so either.
It would be awesome if they did.
They would have advertised it.
Too much liability.
They'd have to blow the dust off the computers that figure out how much each car weigh and all that.
Yeah, it's such a shame. It is such a shame because it is a shadow of its former self, and I think because
it had a good run.
Yeah, and I think because of that point, that's why I'm not bothered anymore. I think if it had still been dueling, I would have been quite upset. But because it's not, it's like I'm not. It's not the coaster it was by any stretch.
Right.
But yeah, cool. Right, that's going to wrap up episode 262. I just wanted to say a big thank you to Holly, Tyler, Donna, and Todd for joining me on the show. It's been a blast, guys. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Fantastic. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
Yep. And we will be back with the usual crew for some more nonsense next week. So we'll see you then.
Well, that wraps up another Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. Thanks for listening. Between shows, please subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes. It really helps. But if you're not an Apple user, you can find us on Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, or wherever great podcasts are found. Head over to our blog at uuopodcast.com for show notes, articles, and more. You can get in touch with us by emailing podcast@uuopodcast.com or leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/uuopodcast. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube. Just search UUO Podcast. And if you're planning a trip to Universal Orlando or Walt Disney World, please check out our sponsors by going to mouseandmuggle.com to book your next trip. Well, that's a wrap. See you next week.